Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, welcome to our last lecture of this course Business Economics ECU 400. So this will be the last lecture जो कि it's 32 lectures. तो इसमें हम the last part of the course की बात करेंगे और उसके बाद इंशाल्लाह I will try to summarize at the end of our today's lecture कि what we have learned throughout this course. तो उस पर चंद मिनट हम बात कर लेंगे कि हमने क्या सीखा, कौन से कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़े. तो आज के लेक्चर शुरू करते हैं. दिस इज़ अबाउट मॉनेटरी एंड फिस्कल पॉलिसी. इफ़ यू रिमेंबर, हमने पाकिस्तान इकानमी के बारे में कुछ लेक्चर्स कर रहे हैं. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पाकिस्तान इकानमी, इकोनॉमिक्स विद रेफरेंस टू पाकिस्तान, एंड दिस इज़ द लास्ट लेक्चर ऑफ पाकिस्तान इकानमी एंड ओवरऑल इट इज़ द लास्ट लेक्चर ऑफ द कोर्स आल्सो. सो आज बात करेंगे हम मॉनेटरी एंड फिस्कल पॉलिसी की कि व्हाट इज़ द सिचुएशन ऑफ मॉनेटरी एंड फिस्कल पॉलिसी इन पाकिस्तान. The sequence will be like course outline, lecture outline will be first of all we'll talk about monetary policy, and then we'll talk about the fiscal policy of Pakistan. Monetary policy क्या है? What is monetary policy is all about? Monetary policy is concerned with regulation of quantity, cost, and allocation of money and credit in the economy. So monetary policy basically is concerned, deals with the quantity of money, cost of money, allocation of money and credit in the economy as a whole. It is a mechanism which has serious implication of economic development. It helps the economy and the individual to decide the amount and the placement of investment, rate of saving and spending. So monetary policy overall deals with the monetary issues of the economy as a whole, and it also has an important implications for the society, for the growth and economic development of the country. Here we are talking about Pakistan. So for the growth of Pakistan, development of Pakistan economy, it helps the individuals in many ways to decide about the saving, investment and future spending or present spending. So this is what the monetary policy is all about. And now how we can properly define monetary policy? The action of a central bank, in case of Pakistan, the central bank is the State Bank of Pakistan, currency board or other regulatory committee that determine the size and growth of money supply, which in turn affects the interest rate. So this is known as the monetary policy of the country. Monetary policy is maintained through such as increasing interest rate or changing the amount of money banks need to keep in the vault, right? So monetary policy basically is the tool or is the policy that determines the size and the growth of money supply in the economy, and which in turn affect the interest rate. Monetary policy में हम कोशिश करते हैं कि we'll try to maintain the interest rate, and we try to maintain and the action such as increasing the interest rate, changing the amount of required money, जो जिसको हम कहते हैं कि the required reserve ratio. So interest rate and the required reserve ratio are the two tools of monetary policy जो कि use करती है central bank या state bank to stabilize the money supply in the country and the economy. Money policy in many countries has been kept away from direct arena of the government. बहुत सारे ममालिक में जो गवर्नमेंट है, गवर्नमेंट से जो है मनी सप्लाई को दूर रखा गया है. What the government only do in different countries is that they develop basic rules and eventual targets of the monetary policy, and then they leave up to the market, and they have no interference in the functioning of the monetary policy or the money policy in the country in most of the cases. But however, in Pakistan money policy has been much more government controlled. It's written many, it's money policy instead of many. It is just, you can make the correction, जैसे कि slide पे आपको नजर आ रहा है many policy, it's not many, it's money policy has been made a much more government control and influence tool. तो पाकिस्तान की अगर बात करते हैं तो यहाँ पे जो मनी पॉलिसी है which is controlled by the government and influenced by the government, but in most of the cases, most of the countries, it is not controlled or owned or affected by the government. If we talk about money policy or monetary policy, इसके टूल्स कौन कौन से हैं, क्या क्या मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी में चीज़ें शामिल होती हैं. एक तो इंटरेस्ट रेट है. इंटरेस्ट रेट हैव प्री डिटर्मिन्ड. सेक्टर्स credit target are set by the government, are defined by the government, and markets have not played an influential role. In case of Pakistan, market is not playing a significant role. All of the monetary policy is determined or decided by the government of Pakistan, by the Central Bank of Pakistan, and it is controlled by the Bank of Pakistan. We can divide the monetary management into two eras as far as Pakistan is concerned. तो दो eras की हम बात करेंगे जब हम monetary policy की बात करेंगे. And what are those two eras? Those two eras are pre-1991 period की हम बात करेंगे, and then we'll talk about post-1991 period की बात करेंगे. So what was the monetary policy situation in the country, in Pakistan, before 91, and what happened after 91? Pre-1991 period की अगर आप बात करें, before the 1991 period, financial sector reforms, the government management program was considered to be loosely managed, highly unorganized system. तो उससे पहले जो management monetary policy management system था, it was disorganized, loosely managed, so it was not fully under the control of the government. In 1972, when the banking reforms were taken, a National Credit Consultative Council NCCC was established to determine the distribution of credit in the economy. So, जब ये government ने देखा कि monetary policy is not properly managed, is not properly organized in the country and the economy, तो 1972 में उन्होंने एक NCC बनाई, National Credit Consultative Council बनाई, and the task or the job was that to determine the distribution of credit in the country or in the economy fairly, equally, and as per regulation and policies. An annual credit was and still is devised each year to determine the extent of monetary expansion for the year. तो हर साल कितना क्रेडिट होना चाहिए, कितनी मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी एक्सपेंशन होनी चाहिए, तो वो हर साल डिसाइड किया जाता था. द गवर्नमेंट एडमिनिस्ट्रेड ऑल रेट्स ऑफ रिटर्न्स एंड द होल इकोनॉमी हैड टू एक्सेप्ट दैट. सो गवर्नमेंट जो है, जितने भी हैं, गवर्नमेंट वाज बेसिकली द मेन ऑर्गन हु वर डिटर्मिनिंग ऑल द रेट ऑफ रिटर्न्स, एंड द होल इकोनॉमी हैड टू एक्सेप्ट whatever is determined or decided by the government of Pakistan or the Central Bank of Pakistan. It is for to say that money policy prior to 91 worked fairly well and government had pursued an economic growth strategy. तो आप ये नहीं कह सकते, it's difficult to say कि 91 से पहले जो गवर्नमेंट की मनी पॉलिसी थी कि उसने प्रॉपरली काम किया, उसने फेयरली काम किया, and government was able to achieve a sustained economic growth or economic strategy with the help of controlling interest rate, by distributing credit among priority sector, or obtaining cheap credit from the banking sector. तो ये जो तीन पैरामीटर्स हैं, हम ये नहीं कह सकते गवर्नमेंट ने फेयरली यूज़ किए और देयर वाज अ स्टेबल मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी इन द कंट्री बिफोर 1991. Now if we talk about the post 1991 period, so in post 1991 period from 91 till today, the financial sector has been in the theories of major transformation. It's in the process of transformation. Financial sectors is continuously in the process of transformation, so there is no stability in the financial sector. We are continually changing our different policies. Policies are related to financial sector, related to money supply, related to money policy. The impetus of these drastic reform is the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. And why there's not stability in the financial sector, why it is continually changing since 1991, because of the pressure given by the World Bank, by the IMF. We are forced to implement certain things, certain rules, regulation which are imposed on the government of Pakistan by the World Bank and by the International Monetary Fund, and the State Bank of Pakistan has to adopt or implement those policies given by the government through World Bank, from the World Bank through Government of Pakistan. What is the recent state of affair of the monetary policy in Pakistan? Now, objective of SBP, the objectives of the State Bank of Monetary Policy is to strike a delicate balance on inflation, containment, and maintaining or supporting economic growth. So the objective of Pakistan, State Bank of Pakistan monetary policy is to make a strike on a balance, to keep a balance rate of inflation in the country and the economy, and of course that helps in increasing or maintaining a systematic growth in the country or in economy of Pakistan. तो उसका objective ये है कि how they can keep the balance in inflation. अब अगर इन्फ्लेशन को बैलेंस किया जाएगा तो कंट्री में इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ जो है वो उसको आप मेंटेन कर सकते हैं. सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द objective of State Bank of Pakistan monetary policy. Now a change in the monetary policy stance is communicated through adjustment in the policy rate. How that change in policy or monetary policy is communicated, and that is communicated through the change in adjustment rate, that is the overnight rate at which State Bank provides collateralized cash to banks, right? If required, change in the cash reserve requirement CRR and statutory liquid reserve requirement are also made. So if the State Bank or the Central Bank of Pakistan feels that they need to keep more credit with these commercial banks in order to increase the money supply or expansionary monetary policy की बात करते हैं, तो how they can do that? They can do that by changing the required reserve ratio or the changing the statutory required requirement by the reserve requirement right by the banks. So State Bank जो है उसमें तब्दीली कर सकता है in order to adopt expansionary monetary policy or contractionary monetary policy. So this is how the State Bank of Pakistan can control the money supply or the monetary policy in the economy of Pakistan. Now inherited macroeconomic imbalances in this slide जो कि आपको सामने दिखाई गई है इसमें नज़र आ रही है. So we'll talk about the inherited or जो कि continuously हमें चले आ रहे हैं imbalances in case of macroeconomics. If you look in different years, in the figures of different years, if we talk about compare, for example, दो सालों को हम compare करेंगे, like financial year 2005, and then we'll talk about financial year 2010. Now what is the inflation rate, and that is in percentage? In 2005 inflation was 9% in Pakistan economy. If we talk about financial year 2010, so it was 12%. So there is increase of 3% in the inflation rate. अगर आप देखें, अगर आपको नज़र आ रहा है, in financial year 2009 this inflation rate was 21%, which was quite high. Overall fiscal deficit percentage of GDP, it was 3.3% in 2005, which is, continuously rises in the coming financial year, goes up to maximum in 2008, it was 7.6% of the GDP, and then it was 6.3% in 2010. So this tells you that this is a continuous increase in budget. So we can say that we call these are the inherited macro imbalances that are coming from the previous years also. Current account deficit as a percentage of GDP की बात करें, it was 1.5% in 2005, and then it was 1.7% in 2010. And if you talk about the previous year, it rises rapidly. From 1.5 it goes up to 8.5 in 2008, and then it goes down from 8.5 to 5.7. It further improved in 2010, and then it came down up to 1.7%. If we talk about money supply, the growth rate of money supply in percentage, it was 19.1 in 2005. It remains fluctuating, and currently it is 12.5%, which is quite reasonably if we compare the previous years of Pakistan economy. Private / foreign direct investment portfolio, US dollar in millions. So it was 2 billion in 2005, then it went to 4.5, 8.4, 5.4, 2.6, and currently in the 2010 it was 2.1. So now there is static on the lower growth rate, money growth rate in financial year 2008 and 9, and that low growth rate in money supply was due to the basically depletion of reserves. So because of that, there was a low growth rate of money supply in these two particular years. So basically this slide, objective of this slide to show you is that it tells you the overall situation of Pakistan economy, or the macroeconomic imbalances, which are not only for the current or the coming or the current years. It is coming from the previous years also. Recent experiences with monetary management inflation, after sustained reduction from 20.8% in financial year 2009, it came to 11.7% in 2010. Inflation has started to increase again in financial year 2011, and September and October excess of 15.4%. Most of this inflation is being contributed by food, fuel, and transportation groups after floods, right? So what are the reasons why there is continuous increase in prices in the country and the economy? And the main reasons are the inflation in the increase in food prices, rise in the prices of food, rise in the prices of fuel, and transportation of transportation groups after floods, right? So floods के बाद भी सूरत हाल काफ़ी वर्स हो गई, उसकी वजह से भी prices में इजाफा. The resurgence in inflation is attributed to number of other factors like reform measures to disseminate whose impact is being felt in the short term. Reduction in energy related subsidies. The government has reduced the subsidies on energy related products in energy related energy sectors. So because of that, it helps, it increases the inflation in Pakistan economy. Automatic pass through of increase in international prices of oil in electricity tariffs. In the international, if we talk about the international prices has increased as far as oil is concerned, and then of course and the prices of that increase in prices has transformed in the electricity tariffs, in the form of electricity tariff in the country. So these are different factors which are responsible or cause of inflation in the country and the economy. If recent experience with monetary management about inflation, इस slide में we have tried to show you the growth rate or the change in average consumer price inflation of different products like food, beverage, tobacco. The inflation rate has is quite fluctuating. It was 20.8 in 2009, June 2009. In 10 it comes down 11.7, then it further goes up 13.1, and then 15.3, and then we have textile and footwears, house rents, fuel and lighting, household furnitures and equipment, transportation and communication, recreation and entertainment, education, appearance, and so many. So you can see that the major source of this slide is the Federal Bureau of Statistics, and that is the responsible institution or the organization in Pakistan government which provide information about the inflation in the country, about different products. Now recent experience will continue with the recent experience with monetary management, and we'll talk about inflation further, about inflation, multiple shocks / factors. इसमें हम will talk about internal and domestic factors की बात करेंगे. When we talk about external, increase in the international commodity prices such as those of edible oil, wheat, rice, corn, and extra. So this is an external shock or factor due to which there is an increase in inflation in the country. Domestically क्या factors हैं? Domestic food prices of perishable increased by 48% during August-September 2010 and have declined by only 6.7 percentage points in October after floods. So crops losses, damages to communication infrastructure, increase in transportation costs, hoarding and cartelization. So these are the different domestic factors responsible or causes of inflation. Impact of expansionary fiscal operation to finance relief expenditure. फ्लड्स की वजह से रिलीफ एक्सपेंडिचर फिजिकल जो डेफिसिट है उसकी वजह से भी देयर वाज इम्पैक्ट ऑन प्राइसेस इन द कंट्री एंड द इकोनॉमी. गवर्नमेंट borrowing from state bank rupees 184 billion since first July 2010 owing to security and food related expenditures and delayed receipts of external assistance and reimbursement. तो बहुत सारे factors हैं. floods की वजह से we have to borrow money, government has to borrow money from state bank, or they spend money on the economy, and delay in reimbursement because the money which was received from the external sources was delayed due to different reasons. To contain inflationary pressure, state bank has raised the policy rate twice since beginning of financial year 2011 in July and September 2010 by 50 BPS each, right? So they have change this rate twice in that particular financial year. Now I will tell you something about the recent policy and administrative monetary policy in Pakistan. So what is going on, what is the current situation of monetary policy in Pakistan? Establishment of Monetary Policy Committee. गवर्नमेंट ने एक कमेटी बनाई है जिसका नाम है Monetary Policy Committee. It is a 9-member MPC committee chaired by the Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, with 2 external academic experts. So minutes of MPC, that is the Monetary Policy Committee के जो minutes होते हैं वो they are on the website of the State Bank of Pakistan, which is a public document. आप देख सकते हैं कि what kind of policies, what kind of measures State Bank is going to announce, are going to take, are going to adopt in order to regulate the monetary policy in the country or in the economy. Frequency of monetary policy reviews and decisions has been increased. जितने भी reviews होते हैं, frequency जो है वो monetary policy reviews की बढ़ गई है. इससे पहले जो है साल में 2 दफ़ा meetings होती थी इस कमेटी की, and that committee reviews the monetary policy or the situation in the policy in the country. But now the monetary policy reviews are increased अब साल में 6 दफ़ा जो है मीटिंग्स होती हैं, सेंट्रल बैंक जो है रिव्यू करता है मॉनेटरी सिचुएशन को, पॉलिसीज़ को इकोनॉमी में, कंट्री में, एंड दे ट्राइज एंड देन दे ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ रिव्यू एनालिसिस दे ट्राई टू रिवाइज their policy actions. This slide basically tell you the idea, give you the inflation and the discount rate in the country, and you can see that it's quite fluctuating. Policy rate और inflation rate दोनों को अगर आप compare करें तो आप it's quite fluctuating, and that is because of the policy reviews over the time period in the year. So reviews के बाद decide किया जाता है in order to increase or decrease the policy measures to stabilize the economy. So this was all about the monetary policy of the country or of Pakistan. Now I will give you an idea, brief introduction of the fiscal policy. In the second part of today's lecture, we'll talk about the fiscal policy, what is the state of affair in terms of fiscal policy in Pakistan, and at the current moment, or what was the previous state of affair of fiscal policy in Pakistan. तो इसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे. Now, first of all, before we go into detail, we'll try to define what is fiscal policy is all about. Fiscal policy is considered as a tool to control and adjust the human behavior. It is known or considered as a tool to control and adjust the human behavior, which can be affected by incentives and disincentive provided by changing government revenues and expenditure. So इसमें ये ऐसा tool है, ऐसा जो पैरामीटर है जो कि कंट्रोल करता है, एडजस्ट करता है ह्यूमन बिहेवियर को, which can be affected by providing incentive and disincentive by changing the government expenditure and revenue. How government can change their revenue, how government can change their expenditure. By those changes, the government can affect the behavior of the individual or human beings in the country, in the society, by changing or by affecting or by providing incentives or disincentive to the society. So what we can say that it is a tool, fiscal policy is a tool which can be used to change the behaviors of the human beings in the country by changing expenditure and revenues of the economy. What are the major objectives of fiscal policy? The main objective of fiscal policy are achievement of full employment in the economy, how the country or the economy can be at its full employment level. So fiscal policy is used, is adopted to achieve this objective. Economic stability, to bring stability in the economy, to bring stability in all economic parameters in the economy. So we can use the tools of fiscal policy, which are the expenditure on one side and revenue on the other side, to bring stability in the country and the economy. This is an objective of fiscal policy. Resource allocation, how country can optimally utilize or allocate resources in the country and the economy. Then mobilization of resources, how society can mobilize its resources among different sections of the society, among different sectors of the economy, how they can divide the resources in different sectors like manufacturing sector, service sector, and so on. Another objective of fiscal policy is the equitable distribution of income, how the nation or the country can divide the income equally among different sections or members of the society of the country. So this is another objective of fiscal policy. So these are some of the main objectives. We'll continue with the objectives in the next slide also. Another objective of fiscal policy is to increase exports and control unnecessary imports, right? So government adopt fiscal policy sometime to reduce imports and increase the exports of the country to improve the balance of trade, balance of payment situation in the country. Another objective of fiscal policy is to minimize dependence on foreign aid and achieve self-sufficiency. How the government can achieve self-sufficiency? By increasing its revenue from different sources like taxes and other, and by minimizing expenditures. In this way, the government can get or can achieve self-sufficiency, and it reduce dependence on foreign aid or on other countries' aid, right? So this is another objective of fiscal policy. Another objective of fiscal policy is to provide inducement for saving, how and channel those saving into investment. So how to motivate individuals in the country, in the society, to increase the saving, to reduce saving and channel that saving to investment in the country, right? So जब saving बढ़ती है, investment बढ़ेगी, तो naturally productivity और growth में इजाफा होगा. And this is one of the objective of fiscal policy of the country or of the economy. And other objective is to increase per capita investment, to encourage per capita investment in the country and the economy. So these are some of the major objectives of fiscal policy in Pakistan and overall objectives of fiscal policy in any country. If we look at in this slide, just I will like to share with you the tools of fiscal policy. The major tools of fiscal policy are on one side we have government taxes, on the other side government expenditure. So there are two tools of fiscal policy: government taxes and government expenditure. Now if we'll talk about government taxes on one side, which are the revenues of the government, it is divided into two parts: tax revenues and non-tax revenues. Now what are the tax revenues? There are direct taxes in the form of income and corporate taxes, wealth taxes, property taxes, and indirect taxes also there are, like excise duties, sales taxes, taxes on international trade, and surcharges. So these are the indirect taxes. So what are the non-tax revenues on the government taxes side? Interest rate and dividends, trading profits, come from post offices received from civil administration and others. So this is the revenue side of or the revenue or the government taxes, which is one of the tool कि किस तरह से what are the types of different taxes which government use and collect from different sources. On the other side, we have government expenditure, which is the other tool of fiscal policy. Now a government expenditure has two parts. One is the current expenditure, the other is development or capital expenditure. Now what are the current expenditure of the government? Like the defense expenditure, debt servicing, government subsidies, general administration, economic and community services. These are known as the current expenditure, are also the non-development expenditure of the country or the economy. And then we have the development expenditure or the capital expenditure, and this is the expenditure on irrigation, transport, industrial, agricultural development, railways, social welfare, and so on. So this slide basically tells you the sources of tools of fiscal policy. As we have seen that we have two tools of fiscal policy. One is the government taxes, which are the revenues also. The other side is government expenditure. Taxes में हमने देखा कि taxes किस तरह government collect करती है. What are the types of taxes? हमने कहा एक tax revenue है, एक non tax revenue है. Tax revenue में हमने जब बात की तो उसमें हमने further इसको categorize किया in the form of direct taxes and indirect taxes. What are the direct taxes? उनकी हमने बात की, that are the income and corporate taxes, wealth taxes, and property taxes. What are the indirect taxes? Like excise duties, and then sales taxes, taxes on international trade, and surcharges. And what are the non-tax revenues? That is the basically interest and dividends and so on. And on the other side of the second tool जिसकी हमने बात की, that is the government expenditure. And we said that it has two parts, and one is the current expenditure, which is also known as the development expenditure. The other side of the current expenditure is government expenditure is the development expenditure are also known as the capital expenditure. Now, what are the current expenditure? The expenditure on defense, debt services, administrations, community services, and so on. All these are the non-development expenditure of the government or of Pakistan economy. What are the development expenditure? Expenditure on transport, communication, irrigation, agriculture sectors, development, manufacturing sector. All these are the expenditure or the development expenditure of Pakistan economy. So what we can deduce or deduct from this slide is that कि हमने ये कहा कि दो tools हैं fiscal policy के. One is the government taxes, the other is government expenditure. Now, fiscal policy in Pakistan, fiscal policy relates to the government resource mobilization, collection and expenditure. The government, so in Pakistan, fiscal policy basically is the, on one side it involves in resource mobilizations, collect, expend income, and make expenditures. As we said that there are two types of expenditure of the government, which is one is the development, other is the non-development expenditure. The government requires funds to finance public investment, social development schemes, and day-to-day running of the government machinery. Now, how the government can collect that income? Government can get income, get the money from taxes or levied on incomes, profits, goods and services, which enable the government to carry out their services. Fiscal policy also provide stabilization mechanism which may be used to control and direct economic variables such as inflation and unemployment. So we can say that the fiscal policy in case of Pakistan, it deals with the resource mobilization and expenditure. It deals on the resource mobilization expenditure of the country on one side, and how the government meet these expenditure. Of course, there are different sources to get income, like taxes are levied on income and so many things to get the income and to meet their expenditure. और हमने ये भी देखा कि फिजिकल पॉलिसी जो है हमें ये आल्सो प्रोवाइड एक मैकेनिज्म प्रोवाइड करती है कि in which we can bring stability in the economy, and we can bring stability in inflation and unemployment in the country, in the economy also. Now, एक चंद स्लाइड में we'll talk about the taxation system, कि किस तरह से गवर्नमेंट अपना रेवेन्यू जनरेट करती है, टैक्स सिस्टम क्या है, टैक्स का निज़ाम क्या है, how the tax system work in Pakistan. Taxes have far-reaching effect on economy. They influence savings and investment decisions in both private and public sectors. So taxes का बहुत बड़ा impact होता है on making decisions about saving, investment, if we talk about at the private level, at the public level also. There are three major groups of taxes responsible for much of the revenues collected in Pakistan. तो तीन ऐसे groups हैं which are the focus of the government to collect revenue through taxes in Pakistan. One is the income tax, the other is sale tax and the excise tax, and the third is trade taxes on foreign trade. So these are the three main groups of taxes responsible for much of the revenue collected in Pakistan: income tax, sales and excise tax, and trade on taxes on foreign trade. Now we'll talk about some of the salient or important features of Pakistan recent tax system, जो recently under implementation है, चल रहा है, जो कि गवर्नमेंट ने अडॉप्ट किया हुआ है, उसकी क्या खूबियां हैं उसकी हम बात करते हैं, salient features की बात करते हैं, important features उसकी characteristic की बात करते हैं, उसकी क्या important characteristics हैं उसकी हम बात करेंगे. 1A is the federal income tax. सबसे पहले अंडर फेडरल जो कैटेगरी है, फेडरल जो गवर्नमेंट टैक्सेस लगाती है, उसमें सबसे पहले जो टैक्स है फॉर्म है, दैट इज इनकम टैक्स. हेविली रिलायंस 53% ऑन विद होल्डिंग और presumptive tax. It is a progressive on personal income tax. Maximum rate is 20 to 25% of that progressive tax. corporate income tax, the rate is 35% rate, universal self-assessment scheme, and advanced tax regime. So these are the feature of income tax under the federal government. And then the second category is the general sale tax, which is levied on goods only, and it has the value-added tax features, and there is zero rating, and also of domestic sales of export. The standard rate of this general sale tax is 17%, and then exemption. Some of the goods, basic goods, food items are exempted from the general sale tax, like agricultural inputs, medicines, and newsprints. So these are the two main taxes under the federal government, are imposed or levied by the federal government. One is the income tax, or the other is general sale tax. Custom duty is another federal tax which is imposed by the federal government. Cascaded tariff structure, maximum rate is 25%, and this 25% इसकी 6 slabs हैं, according as 6 categories हैं इस tax की. Then there is a tariff peaks in automobile and other luxury goods. So maximum tariff is imposed on the automobiles and other luxury goods. Share of dutiable imports, which is 51%. And the other kind of excise, the federal tax, is the excise duties. Excise duties are also imposed by the federal government in Pakistan. Only few industries like cigarette, beverages, and cements, where the government imposes these excise duties. Also, it has on services in value-added mode. 1% excise duty across the board on manufacturing and imports is imposed by the government under this head. So these are the 4 main taxes which are levied by the federal government. Now category B is the provincial government. What sort of taxes are imposed, are levied by the provincial government, like taxes, AIT, land revenue, stamp duty, motor vehicle tax, property tax, excise, sale tax on services. All these are the taxes which are imposed by the provincial government in the respective governments. This slide basically table give you fiscal indicator as percentage of GDP over the years in Pakistan. If we have different columns, if we see that GDP real growth rate is in the first column. If you see that in this column, if you look at this column, in 1991 the growth rate of GDP was 5.4%. right? Now it is 6.4. It was 6.4% in 2003 and 4. If we look at the recent figures, अगर आपने इकोनॉमिक सर्वे देखा है या पढ़ा है, अखबार देखी है, गवर्नमेंट ने जो अभी ग्रोथ रेट अनाउंस किया है 3.8% for the previous year 2011 and 12. Overall federal deficit, fiscal deficit जो percentage GDP का था, it was 8.8% in 1991, which came down to 3.3% in 2003 and 4. And then the next columns are about the different expenditures of Pakistan economy in total. It was 25.7% of the GDP in 1991, and then it was 17.5, came down. Right? So then you look at the current and development expenditure. The current expenditure, and that is the non-development expenditure of the government, it was 19.3%. अगर आप देखेंगे जैसे कि आपको नज़र आ रहा है in 1991, then it came down to 14.5% of the GDP. So there is decrease in the non-development expenditure of the Pakistan economy if we look at the expenditure. And if we look at the development expenditure over the years in Pakistan economy, so it's quite fluctuating, and it came down significantly from 6.4 to 3% in 2003 and 4, right? So which is quite alarming, or which is not quite good for the Pakistan economy, because अगर development expenditure कम हो रहे हैं, it means the production कमी हो रही है, production कम होती है तो growth में कमी होगी, and overall जो living standard है country की जो economic situation है वो कितनी बेहतर नहीं है, it's becoming worse. And the last two columns is about the revenues from taxes, revenue from taxes, revenue from non-taxes. If you see that revenue from taxes is almost remains quite fluctuating, it's not, and then non-tax revenue is also again the same situation. Sometimes it's going up, coming down. So the major sources of these figures are the Pakistan Economic Survey. So you can see also, look at also in the Economic Survey if you want more details about these figures. Tax to GDP ratios of Pakistan from 2001 to 2009 and 10. So you can see that as we discussed, there are different types of taxes like direct taxes, indirect taxes, surcharges, taxes, total taxes, FBR, revenue, share of direct taxes in revenue. So you can see that the objective of this table is to tell you the overall the income that government is getting from different taxes in Pakistan in different years. तो आपको थोड़ा सा अंदाज़ा होगा कि what percentage of income of the government, what percentage of GDP is coming from taxes, different taxes in Pakistan. So if you can see and analyze the situation over the years, how much income came from taxes as a percentage of GDP in Pakistan in these 10 years. And the imbalanced sectoral distribution of the tax burden. So share in GDP, share in tax revenue, and the ratio. So basically the objective is to tell you the imbalances sectoral distribution of the tax burden. So if you compare the taxes on different sectors, so if you can see from this table, it's quite there is quite imbalance distribution of taxes on different sectors. Share in GDP, agriculture का 22.5%, industry का 23% है, services का 54% है. As far as share in tax revenue is concerned, only 1.2% is coming from agriculture, 70% is coming from industry, 28.4% coming from the service sector. So if you see that, so the distribution of tax burden on different sectors is quite imbalanced. कोई खास balance नज़र आपको नहीं आ रहा. Maximum portion of tax revenue is coming from the industrial sector. Now, what is the taxation system in Pakistan which is going on? Till to date, the taxation system of Pakistan is criticized on the following grounds. So अभी तक हमने टैक्स सिस्टम की बात की, हमने ये देखा कि कौन कौन से टैक्सेस हैं जो लेवी किए जाते हैं एट द फेडरल लेवल, एट द प्रोविंशियल लेवल. हमने ये भी देखा कि हाउ मच इनकम इज़ कमिंग फ्राम डिफरेंट सोर्सेज ऑफ फ्राम डिफरेंट टैक्सेस, और किस तरह से उसका बर्डन जो है डिफरेंट सेक्टर पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया गया है. एंड नाउ विल सी दैट द टैक्स सिस्टम इज़ क्रिटिसाइज्ड बाय different individuals, different persons, different groups on the following grounds. There is widespread tax evasions. So people evade from taxes. So it's widely spread in the society, in the country. The proportion of indirect taxes in the total tax revenue is very high. So if we see the distribution of taxes between the direct and indirect taxes, the proportion contributed by the indirect taxes is very high, which is quite alarming, which is not good for the welfare of the society. The tax system is not elastic. That is, government revenue do not rise proportionally with the rise in income. By elastic mean is does not change with the change in income. अगर income बढ़े तो tax को बढ़ जाना चाहिए, income कम हो तो it should go down, it should be progressive. So in case of Pakistan, the tax system is not very much progressive, which is not very much elastic, right? So this is other criticism on tax system in Pakistan. The tax system in Pakistan, need for reforms in the tax system has been passing in the recent years, and government expenditure have been increased and budget deficit is rising. So government has tried On the basis of those criticism, government has tried to reform their tax system in the recent years, and there is substantial increase in their revenue, and which has decreased the budget deficit in Pakistan economy. Fiscal deficit की जब हम बात करते हैं, the roots of fiscal deficit date back to the 1970s. It originated to the externally financed development spending in the form of investment by public enterprises. So most of the fiscal deficit in Pakistan was originated internally financed development spending. Government के अपने जो internally खर्चे हैं उनकी वजह से the major reason or the problem of budget deficit in Pakistan is their internal finance development spending in the form of investment by public enterprises. So if we talk about recent reforms in taxes, recent reforms on 2008 and 9 onward, so government has reformed their taxes, introduced some taxes in the economy, like carbon tax, introduction of fixed levy on petroleum products as a carbon tax with large revenue yield of over 110 billion, which is $1.3 billion in the current years. Direct taxes, taxation of short-term capital gains on shares, इसमें भी रिफॉर्म्स आए हैं, गवर्नमेंट ने ले आए हैं. एक्सटेंशन ऑफ विद होल्डिंग टैक्स, देन इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ मिनिमम टैक्सेस ऑन टर्नओवर of 1%, random ballot of audit with outsourcing to private accounting firms, detection of new taxes through collateral evidence, sale taxes, enhancement in rate from 15 to 17%, and the government has also reformed excise duty by introduction of across the board special excise duty at 1%. And there are some proposed reforms by the experts in the tax system, introduction of comprehensive value-added tax or reformed GST tax जिसे आप कह सकते हैं. Objective is to broaden the tax base and reduce tax rate from 17 to 15%. So the objective of the proposed reform is to broaden the tax base instead of increasing the tax rate. So, and by broadening the tax rate, this will help to reduce the tax rate from 17 to 15% in the economy. And it also, the elimination of expenditure on goods except basic food stuff and life-saving drugs could generate 1.1/4% of the GDP. Also, the objective is to enhance coverage of services excluding education and health, could increase tax revenue in the medium term. So, education और health के अलावा जो है इसकी जो coverage है सर्विस सेक्टर को उसमें भी इसको बढ़ाया जाए. This is another proposed reform. Reduction in tax burden on industry. Another proposal is that there should be reduction on tax burden on the society. Introduction is delayed till 1st October due to issue of collection by provinces of sale taxes on services, lobbies, especially the trading community. It was pended till October 2010, but currently, if we talk about current situation of Pakistan economy, तो बहुत सारे जो reforms हैं taxes में government ने, they have almost implemented and tried to improve their revenue situation in the country so that they can balance and their budget or level their budget deficit in the country or in the Pakistan economy. Now, in the current or the proposed reforms, as far as provincial taxes is concerned, the current focus of the provincial taxes are capital gain tax on property, urban immovable property tax, and then agricultural income tax. The target in the ongoing IMF program is to raise the tax to GDP ratio by 3.5 percentage points by 2012 and 13. So this is the target to raise the tax income through taxes, that is 3.5% through these taxes by the provincial government. So this was all about the fiscal policy and monetary policy that we have discussed today. The major sources of these two concepts which we have learned about Pakistan economy. So if you look at this slide, तो आप देख सकते हैं, आपको नज़र आ रहा है, the main source of these slides of these two parameters of monetary and fiscal policy are economic survey of Pakistan, especially the latest issues. And this economic survey of Pakistan is issued by the finance ministry, by the government of Pakistan every year. You can also take help from the Zaidi S. Akbar 1999. He wrote a book with the name Issues in Pakistan Economy. इससे भी आपको इन दो पैरामीटर जो हमने डिस्कस किए पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमी के, यहाँ से आपको हेल्प मिल सकती है. So dear students, this is all about this course. I hope कि आपके साथ हमारा अच्छा टाइम गुजरा है. You have enjoyed this course. Allah आपको खुश रखे. God bless you with your program. Inshallah. See you in next course in your whole this program. Till that time, God bless you. Allah Hafiz.